Hi and welcome to TIA Now. We're here today at Mobile World Congress America 2017 in San Francisco. I'm here today with Mike Zeto, who is General Manager of Global Smart Cities for AT&T. Mike, welcome.
John, thank you very much for having me.
Let's start from the very beginning. What is a smart city?
I can answer that a lot of different ways. I could say a smart city is whatever the city wants it to be, but I'll give you our definition of a smart city. Right? It's a city that uses a holistic strategy and IoT technology to go out and solve real problems for citizens and for the businesses that it serves. Sustainability, environmental, reducing cost, public safety, and economic development, and making sure that they do it in a really inclusive way, and that all parts of their community have problems that are solved for them.
If you think of selling or addressing citizens' needs from a municipal government perspective, how does AT&T approach that differently than, say, its other enterprise customers or consumer type customers?
That's a really good question, and what we really try to do is approach it like we approach all of the customers that we serve across the world, right? And that, in essence, is what those citizens are. They're customers of AT&T in many cases, but we try to help the cities understand that that citizen is actually a customer of theirs, right? And so as part of the framework that we've developed and best practices that we've had the opportunity to roll out throughout the United States in multiple cities, we're really trying to spend time working with the city to help them look at that citizen as a customer, and then we want to provide end-to-end solutions that help the city solve problems for those customers that they have.
If you think of some of the services, because you hear a lot of expectant, hopeful services to be delivered to citizens in particularly urban areas in the coming years. What are some of the services that AT&T and you envision for citizens in major urban areas?
Well, look, I think first off, you really have to look at it not just as urban. When we approach the city, we're really approaching it from a regional perspective and almost a statewide perspective. You've got to address rural like you address urban, right? Because you've got to be equitable in all areas. But if you just look at some of the urban opportunities and problems that we've been able to help cities address and solve, we've got an engagement in Miami-Dade County, where we actually went into public housing complexes. And in those public housing complexes, we deployed intelligent LED lighting with protective covers so that you would have a more efficient and safer environment. We took security cameras that were actually not connected and connected them with LTE coverage. So now you have live feedback to monitor events and be able to dispatch units. And at the same time, in that public housing complex, we actually improved connectivity through placing more small cells and placing public Wi-Fi, and then provided laptops to the community center with training for the parents and for the students that allowed us to help bridge the digital divide with a Laptop for Good program. So that's a really good example of how to go into an urban community in an area that may not be the most served, right? And really put them at the front of the line and make sure that there was value for the city and there was value for the citizens that live in that complex.
Mike, the World Economic Forum last year and the beginning of this year started talking about the fourth industrial revolution. A lot of that is based on increased compute power and node points, particularly in urban areas. Yep. Can you talk a bit about what AT&T is doing to sort of fit into this new paradigm of fourth industrial revolution?
Sure, yeah, and we're actually involved with the World Economic Forum. And they're doing great work there, right? and addressing issues that all citizens have across the world, whether that be issues with water systems or with electricity. And the fourth industrial revolution, if you will, is really about increased connectivity, increased speeds, making sure that that connectivity is everywhere, right? And then edge processing and edge compute. And then what do you do with that data, and what value can you extract from that to then bring back to the citizens, if you will, if you apply it to smart cities. And one of the things that we've done at AT&T is we announced in February a groundbreaking partnership with General Electric, with GE, one of the greatest industrial manufacturing companies in the world, if not the greatest. And we've brought to market a solution called AT&T Digital Infrastructure. And it's a sensor node that has cameras and environmental sensors and audio sensors in one physical unit that's associated with any LED lighting infrastructure, and then there's applications that are built to extract the data, right, that adds value then. So almost think of it as the iPhone for municipalities. And what this will do is allow you to open up a world of possibilities, not only for the citizens from the value that the city is gathering from the data and being able to make proactive decisions versus reactive, but also from an economic development perspective, when you can engage the innovation ecosystem, the technology community, whether that be at the STEM level or the university level, or in that early stage entrepreneurial ecosystem in that city and region. So we are doing a lot around that, and this is a solution that we're really focused on the US and Mexico, but we're starting to see it pull us into global markets as well.
And you mentioned global markets and other cities within the United States. What are the different business models you've seen, or financing structures, ways that city leaders are trying to bring about smartness in their cities?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's not one model, right? Other than cities know they've got to be very creative, right? They've got tax dollars to work with that can be tied to a very specific and rigid procurement process, right? You've got bond initiatives that are out there. You've got new revenue models that involve advertising revenue and digital wayfinding kiosks that allow the city to generate revenue while providing gigabit public Wi-Fi, right, and other city services. And then of course you've got the public-private partnership model, where you bring all of it together in one way so that cities can develop a more holistic strategy and really do it in a way that they've got the utility involved, they got private enterprise involved, they got the research universities involved, and then of course the city silos and city departments as well.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about Smart Cities 1.0 versus 2.0?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about how I framed up what we see a smart city as, Smart Cities 1.0 was really about City Hall. So it was solving a specific problem in that procurement process, and it was solving it for the city. Smart Cities 2.0 was when the city started to think more holistically, and again, really start to think about the citizen as a customer, and find ways to drive value by taking that data and going from being reactive to being proactive, right? And a lot of what we're doing here at AT&T is really about new ways to model and to use data and analytics to really drive value for our enterprise customers and for the cities and now the citizens. And then Smart Cities 3.0 is going to be, let's say, 2025, 2027, because we're at the beginning of a journey, right? And it's an evolution, not a revolution, so there's a progression. And when you get to Smart Cities 3.0, that's when you're going to be at that point where you've got drones and autonomous vehicle, right, along with digital infrastructure and solutions that monitor water quality and non-revenue water loss, and you're pulling that all together, and the cities can really be on that path to providing value in a proactive way versus a reactive way.
And finally, we're here today in San Francisco, but I think about, the top question was, what is a smart city?
Yeah.
And not to upset our host here, but if you were to think of smart cities, given some of these definitions in the United States, which couple of cities come top of mind?
Yeah, so look, there's not one smart city out there today that is truly a smart city. There's been a lot of smart projects, but nothing that has really scaled with 5 to 6 to 8 solutions that add value. But there are some cities that are on their way. San Francisco certainly is one of the cities where there's an ecosystem of innovation that is helping it become smarter and become more efficient, right? You've got cities like Atlanta, where you've got forward-thinking leaders like Mayor Reed and Samir Saini, the CIO of Atlanta, that have done everything from work around mobility offerings that help drive pedestrian safety, vehicle safety, decrease accidents, right, and congestion, to efficiencies driven from LED lighting and economic development benefits from our digital infrastructure solutions, where you can enable the app economy and get the universities engaged, right? And then you also have cities like, again, Miami-Dade County, or counties like Miami-Dade, large areas that are looking to address problems of 30 cities within the county, right? And again, some of the use cases there, the public housing example I gave earlier, and then they use our Smart City Operations Center to really take data from disparate silos within the city and bubble it up into one dashboard, so a mayor and his leadership team can make decisions based on what's happening in the city today at that time.
Mike Zeto, AT&T, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. Thanks for having me.